week. The Warhawks will be playing Saturday at 1 p.m., Military Appreciation Day, taking on Sul Ross State. We'll be at Wilford Moore Stadium. Last week, we went down to Texas Lutheran, came up short 28-21 in a close game. Sul Ross last week, they lost their last 4 games, played very hard Baylor and fell short in that one. The last 8 times Sul Ross and McMurry have played each other, they've split. McMurry won last year 17-14. You guys probably remember that was Coach Neal's first win as head coach of McMurry. With us today, we have to my immediate right, Adonte Wilkerson, a freshman defensive lineman. Somebody made note of this. He's the first freshman we've had on our press conferences this year. And then the first one that I've ever remembered having as a freshman is Dee Robinson. He's now with us as a junior. And then Coach Neal. We'll start with Coach and we'll have questions.
As always, it's a great day to be young and a Warhawk. Extremely proud of our team and the way we've progressed throughout the course of the season. Disappointing loss last week against Texas Lutheran, to be sure. We put a lot into it. Knew that we were going to be facing a good team that was going to give us, everything that they could handle. But I was proud of the way our guys competed and really had just continued to improve throughout the course of the season. Had a good week of practice this week in preparation for Sul Ross. And excited. It feels like it's been an eternity since playing a football game. We're just anxious to get back out on the field and anxious to see our guys get back out there and respond in a positive way. And very excited about the military appreciation and the I-20 trophy. So it should be a great atmosphere. Looking forward to it, and I think good things are in store.
What happened on Saturday? I know it was a disappointing loss. So what are some of the things that went sort of haywire?
Yeah, I think really, we had a 3-game stretch, a streak there of protecting the ball where we did not give up a turnover, and we had also been getting some takeaways and some big plays in the kicking game. The absence of those plays in the kicking game and being able to create some turnovers, coupled with us, letting them have a few short fields, I think really was the difference. I think we learned some valuable lessons, though. I mean, really, there's too many lessons. They're just manifold. They're all around us, as far as, lessons that we can learn and opportunities for us to continue to grow as a team. It was disappointing for sure. And I think you could see it in our players' eye after the game. And you can see with how hard we played, all the way there to the very end. Had a couple of really untimely penalties that hurt us. We jumped off sides on one instance, giving them a first down in which they capped that series off with a touchdown. We also had them stopped on 3rd down and had them way behind the chains, and you get called for an incidental face mask penalty, and that extended the drive. They got a touchdown out of that series as well. We started off a couple of series with big plays. What we would consider an explosive run play is 12 yards or more. I believe we had an 18-yard run and a 15-yard run. Both got called back for illegal block or holding penalties, which we were disappointed with because we felt like we pancaked them and we took the fight to them. Instead, instead of moving the chains and being on schedule, you're looking at 1st and 20. We also had a holding penalty that took place after holding them to a field goal. They ended up getting a first down, and then they capped that series off with a touchdown. So, I don't take anything away from Texas Lutheran. I believe that they stayed within themselves and they played virtually mistake-free. I was actually very impressed by how disciplined they stayed in their game plan and their approach. I mean, they only put the ball in the air 10 total times on the stat sheet, but 3 of those were shovel passes and 1 of them was a screen that we snuffed out, and it was only a minimal gain. So they stayed within themselves. They did not put the ball on the ground and didn't put the ball in jeopardy, whereas we threw a 30-yard pass and coughed the ball up instead of going in and having a chance to be up 14-0, really right out of the blocks. You turn around and you have to deal with the stunt to your momentum by giving them a freebie. So we felt, again, not taking anything away from Texas Lutheran, but we felt like that was our game to win and that we had every opportunity to do it. But the point that I made to the team, and I think the lesson that we've had to learn the hard way, is that we're not quite where we need to be in order to make those kinds of mistakes and still come out a victor against a good team like that. I mean, we preached it all week long, knew that they were going to give us everything that they can handle. They were desperate for a win and playing at home. So, not all hope is not lost, but we definitely, the disappointing factor is that we felt like we were the better football team and we didn't come out on top like we wanted to. I expect us to respond in a positive way, and those are definitely some things that, as you said, went haywire.
Well, when you look at scores compared to last year, we've made tremendous progress, and I really thought that the guys felt like they could win that game. It's hard to keep the momentum that we had going, but I think it's probably still there where we just out of sync a little bit. I know what penalties will do, but
Yeah.
do you feel like the guys have put that behind them and they're looking forward to this week?
I do. I think, you look at the things that were within our control to affect change. We also, and I should not mention this, we had some untimely drop passes too. And we just, for whatever reason, didn't seem to click and connect, throwing and catching the football like we're used to doing. We've gotten to a point now, specifically on offense, where we feel like we've been able to take that for granted a little bit, that we can throw and catch with anybody. When you look at how effectively we ran the ball, this guy had a great day running the ball. Cam had a great day running the ball. Offensive line play was really, without flaw. And so those are real positive things that, you hate to have to look back at that and point that out as a moral victory or whatever. But man, I think the improvement is there, and I think as opposed to us as coaches being frustrated and trying to get our guys to where we want them to be, I think the players really see that, hey, we're this close to really being explosive on offense, and with the exception of giving up a couple of big runs on defense. I know stat sheet didn't look real pretty, but a third of their production or more in the rushing game was on about 3 or 4 run plays where we've got guys in position and we just either overrun or we bounce off of a guy, and they had a good back. I mean, he's a big physical kid who could make yards after contact. But it's a lot more fun and it's a lot more satisfying to be able to point to those things as being the difference, as opposed to, egregious mistakes, busted assignments, bad penalties such as procedural type penalties and formation issues and things that indicate sloppy play. A lot of our penalties were on blocking, we're being called for holding, but I think that's our guys being aggressive, getting a body on a body and finishing off a block, and if their hand gets a little bit outside the shoulder pad or whatever, you got to kind of live with a little bit of that. So again, I can't say enough how much I think that our team has improved, and they're chomping at the bit, and the chip on the shoulder is only getting bigger each week, and I know they're anxious to get out there and rectify a disappointing day last week when we lined up against Sul Ross.
Dante, as a freshman, what's your take on this? Seeing how you're getting to start from the beginning, where McMurry is really they're finding momentum and they're moving, they're really doing well. How do you like the defensive play?
I like the defensive play very well. We go out there and we get it majority of the time. I feel like sometimes we be just a little bit behind and we make mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes. And we usually do come out on top. We try, we go forward, and I like that as a team.
I think it's a good system, defensive system that we're working in, yeah.
Neal, could Jordan talk about how Adonte is fitting in as a freshman?
Yeah.
A freshman is showing up at this meeting, so tell me about how he's earning this spot.
Yeah, Adonte came in. We recruited him heavily. out of San Antonio, played at Roosevelt, and he's got several teammates that he came to McMurry with that are young players that are good developmental guys that are going to show up for us and are going to be very good in the future. I think the biggest thing with him is just his speed and explosion off the line, and just that initial get off is what you see from him. And the aggression, the physical play, and the ability to get in and kind of disrupt plays in the backfield, that's a real strength for him. And he's not a big guy as far as he knows what it's like to be undersized and have to out quick people and out leverage people. And he's really just shown up and been productive. And whether freshman or junior or senior or whatever. We're always looking to upgrade and find the best combination of guys that we can get out there on the field. And he's just been a good fit because we are multiple on defense. We can get in a lot of different fronts. And he's got the ability to play on the edge in a 5 technique and be a speed rush guy off the edge. But he's also shown that he can hold up inside and take on double teams and just create problems. So, I'm just really, really proud of the way he's played. And he's like a lot of our defensive linemen. He's battled injuries. He's been sick, and he's had to work through some things like that. But I've just been real pleased with his play, and he's a guy that has a really, really bright future, and is going to get. He's only going to get better as time goes by, and he's got a good nucleus and kind of a cohort of other freshman guys on defense, especially that are going to be right around him, and you'll be hearing their names too. So. It's just worked out so far for him to get his opportunities, and he's taking advantage of them.
Dee, we're really happy with the running game, and to have two backs that can come in and really pick things up. I know you'd like to get the ball on every play, but that system that we have is working well. Are you happy with our running game? Do you see us really doing well with that?
Yes. We got split carries. Me and Cam, we just attack and kind of govern ourselves a little bit. When we're going out there every 4 plays, we have our little rotation going, and then we feed off each other by energy-wise. If the other person is going kind of, getting the run in, we'll kind of tend to let them stay in and finish it off if it's down in the distance.
Kind of gives you a chance to rest a little bit, back and forth, and y'all make a good tandem, and we're happy. We're happy with that running game. Just a matter of time.
It's a real luxury to have too. The thing that I'm most proud of, not only from him, but I'm kind of speaking on behalf of Cam as well, is and you kind of mentioned it, John. When you're a running back and you're a good one, you want the ball in your hand, consistently. You want it time after time after time. And he's that way, Cam's that way, but man, the way those two guys they're unselfish players. They're guys that want to win and want to do what it takes for our team to be the best that it can be. And Dee Rob kind of mentioned it, if one of them busts off a long run or whatever, and they're visibly, gassed, well, man, they know how to plug in and we've got fresh legs right back in the game right there. And then the same can be said for if for whatever reason, the combination of run plays that you get called, if it's kind of blocked up smoother and more clean for one of them than it is for the other, and somebody gets a hot hand, they're over there supporting, that other guy because they know that when that guy succeeds, I got a chance to succeed as well. And that's just maturity and growth, and I think what both of them have been able to experience is it's beautiful when you see two guys that 90 or 100. We got to get a couple 100-yard rushers. That's a goal that we want to have. But when you see that kind of leveled off production from both of them, man, as a defensive unit, it's like who do we try to stop? Do we try to stop number 22? Well, number 5 is coming. If we try to put all of our eggs in this basket and stop number 5, we know we got to handle number 22. And they both have a different style. Cam's more of a scatty runner, and he's good in the tackle box, kind of moving and weaving around. And D-Rock can do some of the same things, but he's looking to run through contact. That's really his strength is running through arm tackles and pressing. He's improved a great deal on pressing the hole and seeing where that seam is going to divide and where it's going to open up, and then really hitting it with speed and he always falls forward. So as a play caller for Coach Garcia and as the head coach, like, you know that when we need to go make some tough yards, we can put the ball in this guy's hands and he's going to make it happen.
Also, it seems like they can also float you out on the side of the flat, and you also are a good safety valve receiver, and you can create some plays that way as well for the team.
I can. I've been doing it for a long time, and now I'm getting a chance to experience it right on the field at McMurry. I'm pretty great at doing stuff, and whatever they ask me to do, you know, I go out there and do it, even if it's just simple as going to block somebody or going to run around and run people off. So as much as that, I can be able to be a helping hand out there in the interior and in the exterior, out on the outside with the receivers and stuff.
I don't want him to get too big of a head, but he'd be one of our best receivers if that's all he did.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about just looking throughout the season. You know, it seems like we've been, you know, either pass heavy in games or sometimes, you know, trying to establish the run. But it seemed like TLU, not to be lost in all the, you know, missed opportunities, it seemed like this was maybe one of the more balanced weeks that we had. Can you speak to that a little bit and how that was a welcome sight, I'm sure?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you don't go into the game with a goal to be balanced necessarily. You know, you want to just take what the defense gives you. And, you know, some teams you look and you say, well, we really feel like we can throw the ball well against these guys. And so maybe that's what you tend to call, and then that's kind of the way it ends up happening for you. And then you look at other cases, you say, well, we really like our matchup on the interior, and we feel like we can move these guys and create a new line of scrimmage and run the ball effectively. You know, sometimes you can favor one or the other. It's nice to be able to look like at halftime, especially, and then obviously at the end of the game too. But when you look at halftime and you see, man, we've kind of called about the same number of run plays and kind of called about the same number of pass plays, and the production is pretty balanced. You know that gives you a chance to be effective in the second half because they're trying to make adjustments and say, well, what do we got to stop? And if they look over there and say, and they're kind of getting us over the top or out on the perimeter, but they're also getting us down inside, you know, you have a chance to take advantage of that. And yeah, we want to have 600 yards of offense every game. And, you know, me being an old quarterback, I mean, like, I like to see us though for 400 yards, and you know, and you're maybe not as partial towards the running game, but man, when you see, you know, 250, 260 yards rushing or so on and so forth, and around 275, 300 yards of passing, and a good productive, you know, crooked number on the scoreboard, that just gets you excited, and it shows it's more evidence that your team's getting better, and you're not having to cover up a deficiency in the run game by throwing it too much, or, you know, steering away from the pass game by running it, you know, being limited in that regard. So it's always kind of take what the defense gives you. Coach Gabe Garcia, our offensive coordinator, he's really, really dedicated. He's a brilliant offensive mind. He's passionate about, you know, putting together a winning game plan each and every week, and he does a good job of selling it to our players and getting them to buy fully in that we want to play team ball. And when we do that, you know, you ought to be able to look at that stat sheet and see, you know, like a couple weeks ago when you had 8 different guys, you know, that caught pass, or at least one pass. And you see 3 or 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 guys that got a carry. Those are all things that are, you know, byproducts of putting together a good plan and our kids going out and executing.
Coach, talk a second about Sul Ross. What are we looking at, and how do we plan to attack them?
Yeah, you know, Sul Ross is one of those teams that, and I've said this for years, and I don't think it's any different this year. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They're the type of team that really thrives on momentum, and you know, they're good on defense. They've got some good players over there. They're a little bit thin. I think they've kind of, I don't know this for a fact, but I think they've experienced some injuries over there. But you know, they're fast, they're physical. I think the strength of their defense is actually on the defensive line in the interior. They've got an outstanding freshman defensive lineman, a guy that's real similar to Adonte, that gives you problems. They do some things that are a little bit unsound. I mean, they get in some different fronts, and sometimes you don't know where they're coming from. So you really have to play fundamentally sound and play good assignment ball on offense in order to not get, you know, behind the chains. And they've got, you know, over 30 tackles for loss on the season, which tells you that they're getting some guys into the backfield and they're disrupting some things. So we've got to protect the ball. You can't give them any short fields because, you know, they're very capable on offense as well. They've got a good quarterback. He's a 6'4" kid who's a transfer who can really sling it. He's got a good quick release. And they've got a couple of backs that if you let them get loose, they can you know, hit a home run. They can take it to the house. I know they're young on the offensive line. Do like our matchup with our defensive line compared to those guys. And then they have one main receiver that they like to get the ball to. He's got quite a bit more production than the next receivers that they have. Not that we can just isolate stopping that one guy, but I do believe if we focus on minimizing the big play, keep their run game in check, and then play mistake-free on offense, I think that's really the name of the game.
Adonte, I want to hear from you. Just talking about, you know, coming in as a freshman with a very experienced defensive line. We got like Jalen Gomez, Devin Nixon. You know, first of all, getting to be around those guys probably helps you learn as a freshman, but also talk about what it was like for you to compete with these guys and to actually, you know, finally get the nod to start some games and how that felt for you.
Well, at first when I came here, it was pretty hard because I felt like I wasn't getting along with them. But then kind of budgeting, we started getting along. Coaches started having a little bit more trust in me. The guys started helping me more, started giving me tips on what I should do better, and it showed out. Coaches now see me as a really good player, and I have the chance to start. When I start, if I make a mistake in film, we have Devin Nixon always on me like, come on, we got to get this play down. We got to get this right. You got Jalen Gomez asking me every time after practice, after a meeting, what was we supposed to do? Because I'm trying to make sure I'm staying on track, and they keep helping me. The coaches is doing the right things for me, and I'm just happy about it.
Yeah, and the guys behind you all seem to be veterans as well. How does it feel to have a, you know, veteran back seven as well?
I guess it feels pretty good. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like, it's all new to me.
Jeez. You're pretty happy with the defense. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I'm actually extremely happy with the defense.
It's a tough spot to be in, you know, to be a young guy and to be a playmaker like that with, you know, I mean, Josh, you know, this is his 5th year, you know, KO, 4th season. You know, even though Coriel is still a freshman, you know, he's played a lot of football, you know, and Keyshawn, you know, has played a lot of ball, even though he's kind of an underclassman still, but you know, it's a big responsibility for a young guy to be called on to go out there and hold the rope, you know, and play at the same level and to execute an assignment to the same capability as guys that have done it and have all that kind of experience. So, you know, it puts a lot of pressure on this guy, but he's got a good motor and just has an instinct of, hey, I'm gonna fire off the ball when it's snapped, and I'm gonna play through the whistle, and you know, that covers up for you know, maybe a lack of experience, or you know, and he's not anywhere close to being as good fundamentally as he will be, you know, and I think you just see that being made up for by the effort and by the intensity, and you know, like Adonte said, I mean, you know, Devin Nixon, I mean, he wants to win. You know, he's got high expectations for guys around him. Same thing with Jalen. Jalen's got three football games left in his college career. Same thing for Josh and KO and some of those guys. And so, you know, they're demanding. You know, and that can put a lot of pressure on you as a young player. But it's only going to serve him well. You know, because he'll be in that role one of these days too. And it's very likely that there's going to be some freshmen that are going to come along in a couple of years that are capable of getting out there and holding the rope, and he'll remember these days and know how to, you know, put those expectations on those guys and get them to play to their capability to help us win now, you know. So,
Dee, I'm sure a lot of what Coach is saying about Adonte was something that you could probably relate to a couple of years ago. So talk about what it's been like for you to, you know, have a bunch of seniors on the offensive line. You know those guys. You've been with them for a long time. Ken, you've been running with him a long time, and you've been trying to get better with him. So talk about what that's been like for you as a junior now compared to as a freshman.
It's been a growing thing for me. Like, I've been trying to figure out how to be a better teammate when I'm off the field, because coming in I was just star, come from my school. So I knew how to cheer for me, and I was the one that was scoring the touchdown, so I was in charge of the game basically. And coming from that to here, it wasn't hard because I feel like I can go in there and make plays. I'm here for a reason, and I'm trying to make it happen. So I was just trying to find my way on there, and I pretty much found my way. And then Cam came along, and we was helping, and we came together as one and started helping each other. Like 1A, 1B.
And you're the 1A.
Is it interchangeable?
Yeah, it's alternate. Can't take all the credit. Camden showed me a lot of stuff I could do and add to my game.
And Jordan, if you don't mind, comment on Josh Smith, who becomes the second leading tackler in McMurry football history, and there's a chance in the last 3 weeks of the season to go to the top of the all-time list. What has he meant for you as this team has progressed?
Yeah, I'm just proud of Josh. I'm proud that he's still here. As I'm proud of all those guys that have endured, the coaching change and all the uncertainty and the curveballs that have been thrown by COVID and all that kind of stuff. The fact that he's still here, he's a team captain, and he's been so consistent. There's so much that I can say, and he's deserving of what the recognition and the numbers. But probably the thing I'm most proud of from him is, he'd be lying if he said that it wasn't important, because records were meant to be broken, and man, I want him to go get that record, and that'll be a really neat thing for him. God willing, if he stays healthy for these next couple games and he plays like he's capable, there's nothing I'd like to see more than him get that accolade. But like I said, the thing I'm most important or most proud of from him is that it's not about Josh, it's about the team. And when you hear him talk and you get alone with him and you hear him say things like, I want to leave a legacy, I want to help this team have residual success in my absence. And it's not just him. Dan Zarzosa is the same way. That guy started every game since he was a freshman. And I think those guys have really come to recognize that, when I'm gone and my football career is over with, it's over. Okay, but did I leave something in terms of expectations for my teammates that are coming after me? And I just think having that bar set by him is going to do our team a lot of good in the future. And I don't know how many he's got left to go, but he's going to be like a heat-seeking missile trying to get to the football over these next 3 weeks, for sure.
So he's currently at 352, and the record's 379. So he's 27 from tying, and with 3 games, that would be 9 per game.
Which is about his average.
18 had to be a walk.
Hopefully the stat keeper will be kind to him.
It's not number
Don't
5
call
to
me.
me.
Anything else from the peanut gallery?
Health-wise, we're doing pretty good, aren't we?
Yeah.
This far in the season, and injury-wise or non-injury-wise,
Yeah, by far, this is the healthiest that we've been. Knock on wood. I was a little bit. I was concerned about Jalen at the end of the TLU game. He kind of banged his knee up, had to take his knee brace off and get it checked out. But he was able to get back in the game and get a couple of quality snaps there towards the end. And he's thugged it out, man. He's been hurt all year, but he has toughed it out, and he has continued to play on that knee, knowing that his football career is kind of coming to an end. And so, besides that, Devin is always banged up. Ryan Miller has been battling some injuries, but they're still with us, and with the exception of losing Richie, at the beginning of the season, and that being a season-ending deal, we've been pretty darn healthy. We're getting a couple of guys back that are going to be fully healthy. That's helped our special teams. That's allowed us to play some guys on special teams to get quality experience, and I'm very excited and very proud of what we've done, in the kicking game, in addition to offensive and defensive. So that I don't want to not mention that. But yeah, by and large, I think we're in pretty solid shape, and we have no excuses. Our theme this week was all in. Do whatever it takes, go all in. We've come too far as a program, and we've grown too much and put too much equity into getting this thing turned around and playing at a high level to look back. I told him, Jesus said, whoever puts their hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for service in the kingdom. And so we've kind of had that attitude of, hey, we're not looking back, we're not taking steps back, we're taking steps forward to get to where we want to go, and that's to be a championship caliber team. And I think this week is going to be a great opportunity for us to move our fence post ahead again and hopefully do it, injury free.
Find a way.
That's right.
Anything else? All right, thanks guys. As always, this press conference is presented by First Financial Inc. and we have Raising Kings as well.
Thanks, Steve. Good job. Just a little, baby.
Yeah, thank you, Al.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys.
Okay. Y'all have a good few days.
Buy some chicken.
Yeah, y'all.